Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do take 2 on this. Alright, that's what we're talking about today. That is a Sig P226 Legion. Legion series, if you're not very aware of what that is ultimately the best of everything that Sig has to offer. So it will be their most highly appointed model, generally, unless there's something specific, but the Legion is kind of meant to be their high-end kind of series. So let's go ahead and safety check, make sure that we are dealing with an unloaded firearm, and we are. So the Sig P226 is an old design that started in the 70s and the 80s, meant to be kind of the premier full-size pistol from Sig Sauer. One of the things about it that makes it a great pistol is its metal slide and a metal frame, steel or aluminum, kind of vary depending on the types of model that you get. One of the cool things about Sig 226 is that it's called a single double, meaning that if you go ahead and you rack the slide and that you were to go ahead and chamber around, you have the ability to shoot right here, single action, or you can lower the hammer with this decocker that allows a much firmer, 9 to 10 pound action, and that acts as your safety. Meaning that you can carry with one in the chamber, just like you can with a striker-fired pistol, and it's almost impossible to unintentionally pull the trigger. So that makes it very useful. One of the things that helps the Legion stand out and different from the regular P226, it has these great Legion grips that I believe are probably made of micarta. They're wraparound grips from the back that have a nice set of stippling and checkering. On either side they have this Legion logo, and there is a thumb rest over here. There is a small cutout here, probably for manipulating the slide release and the hammer. There's also a thumb pad here, and it integrates very well with the magazine release, which I've seen better and I've seen worse, but it is relatively streamlined with the grip of the gun, so it doesn't stick out very far. The only thing that sticks out really far is the decocker, which makes sense. You need to be able to decock the pistol without having to actually look if you're just going to do it by feel. So we have an external extractor. Let's go ahead and potentially take the pistol down. So you can see there's a little groove up here. Let's just make sure we line that groove up with the spine of this here. Let's see if I can do this from this angle. Oh, I don't know if I can, to allow everyone to see. All right, there we are there. We have a long spring and an all metal guide rod. So that spring and that guide rod, this spring is made of twisted wire, which we see in some of the higher end AR-15s as one of the better types of spring. This is obviously a modified style of Browning, 4.4 inch Browning style barrel. So this is a very handsome coated barrel. It's been cut in certain places to kind of take off of the weight. The feed ramp is slickened up a little bit, but generally I think underneath there's not a whole lot different between the Legion and the regular P226, which is a good thing because the P226 is designed to be a very, very reliable pistol. In fact, the Mark 25 version, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Mark 25 version of this firearm is the one that's used in Navy Special Operations. So, anything that they are willing to employ as part of their system of defense is something that anyone ought to consider based on just, having the special stuff. Now, one of the things that they had done on that Navy SEAL model, the Mark 25, was that it used finish and a coating on it that was probably going to be more resistant to seawater and the potential of the corrosion of the surface. And there are, if I'm not mistaken, I think there might be magazine coatings that are a little bit slicker to help prevent corrosion as well. So this is probably going to use, I think, either an upgraded version of something like that where this coating is a highly water resistant coating, and it's meant to make the Legion pistols just look a little bit more special. One of the great things that you do see, and you may not be able to see it here, let's go ahead and see if we can flip this light. is these night sights. Now these are a kind of a perma-glow night sight, and they are fairly easy to pick up on, especially that big glowing front sight. So it is the Sig, it is marked the Sig H3AT. So back here we also have the flat in the front of the sight. Some people think that for a tactical reason, that's good because it allows you to rack the slide. If I'm ever in a situation where that comes up, I guess I'd be thankful for that, but most people that are buying a Sig Legion are probably not using it for carry, although you could. It's just one of those things where it's usually meant to be a gun for a collector, a little bit of a snob, somebody who wants something special. But this is one of my dream guns, and the reason I bought the Sig 226 is that it's just absolutely legendary for being one of the most reliable pistols of all time. And there are many people and reviewers who, a long time ago, magazines that would test out the Sig P226 5,000 rounds or 10,000 rounds without stopping or something like that. And what they would end up doing is that they found over time that the Sig actually started to shoot a little bit better with the more rounds that you put through it, just because of how well built they are. And so price on these is going to be over $1,000, whereas you'd be under $1,000 for the standard 226. This one is going to have a little bit of an upgraded trigger, which I do find to be very accurate. Even in double action, one of the things I have to remember when I'm holding a double action is obviously get my second grip here, but to maintain the squeeze all the way through the trigger pull to fire that first round. If you want to use more of a slap technique, you have to do that in single action. So it requires a little bit of practice, but that being said, there are some videos that I'm going to be showing of me shooting it, potentially getting some what I consider to be good groups. And for me, I'm not very much of a handgun shooter, but I have been trying to buy guns that I know that I'm going to keep for the rest of my life. And what better gun is there than maybe the best 9mm handgun that there is available and the best version of it. So it's completely stock. I haven't done a thing to it to modify it. One of the things I might consider doing is that if I put it into a carry roll is to maybe put a Streamlight on there or something similar. I've been using a Crimson Trace model 208 on my VP9, which is my current everyday kind of carry gun. So, but just looking over the fit and finish, everything feels pretty good on this pistol. Obviously it's a little wet from cleaning. I got some cleaning goop in there, but I believe this to be a very handsome pistol, like this super dark gray, almost blue kind of color. It has the Legion logo at the top. Now there are optics ready versions of this exact same pistol. This might have been produced the year before that was available. That being said, I don't have any red dot optics for any pistols that I have, so it's not necessary at this time. Plus, if I wanted to use something else, I might use a laser or a laser light. But as it sits, this gun is just flawless. It is pretty heavy and it's big. I have great big hands. As you can see, here's my hand holding a Sharpie. I've got good sized hands, and so this pistol feels in my hand what a lot of people feel when they hold maybe like a Glock 19, but this is more like the size of a Glock 17. So a Glock 19 would be more like this, maybe a tiny bit shorter here. Now this one, it does have 15 round magazines, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 15 round magazines, and these ones are made by Metgar. Metgar's about one of the better brands you can get, made in Italy. So obviously, Sig Sauer stamped magazines by Metgar are going to work really well, and obviously that just adds to more additional of the legendary reliability of the Sig P226. So I hope that you've enjoyed this little tabletop exploration of this pistol. It's one of my pride and joy guns, and I hope that if you're considering one, you might check this video out as my recommendation. That I don't think you're going to get a ton better than this, at least in a fighting pistol. I believe that it's basically set up exactly the way that you'd want to if you'd want to actually take this thing and rely on it. And it kind of bridges that gap between a standard mil-spec pistol and maybe something more on the competition side. So while this does have some contemporaries, this is kind of the similar equivalent to a lightly modified Beretta 92 or a Cajunized CZSP-01. So we're looking at, you know, a big full-size gun with some additional special stuff. So you'd probably be comparing this also maybe to a FNX. I think that you might also be comparing this to Shadow Systems, something in that range. So, you know, something just to consider. I think that it's a fantastic firearm, and I would never, ever hesitate, ever, to take this thing out and just shoot with it. And I think that that's one of the best things you can do. My VP9 gets picky with ammo. This thing has never been that picky with ammo, and it seems to really like 9mm NATO ammunition, which is a little bit hotter than regular old range ammo. So it shoots, it prints groups a tiny bit high, but it's one of those things where it seems to just eat up that 9mm NATO by Winchester. So if you have one of these, or you want to try it, I recommend it. This is probably a gun that was meant for more for that 9mm NATO anyways. But yeah, if anyone has any questions about this in specific, I'll try to give whatever knowledge I have. But I appreciate everybody, and thanks for stopping by.